All right, guys, I want to talk about LS swap headers. We're going to talk about the different types of headers, the different material of headers, the different finishes on headers, and preventing your headers from looking like an old rusty header. So first things first, we'll talk about the different types. Now on the table here, we've got 3 different types laid out between the 4 headers. We've got your shorty headers. You may also see these in another style. These are more of a block hugger style. So they all kind of join together right here in the middle, real close to the middle of the motor. Your typical shorty header, these are going to kind of look like a long tube until about right here. They'll have a collector real short, like a manifold. Now this is going to be for somebody trying to keep it super simple, just building like a Sunday cruiser or a daily driver, not looking for a huge performance gain. Don't necessarily need the engine to breathe all that it can breathe, and need to minimize space and keep the budget down a little bit. Next up from that, we've got what they call mid-lengths. These are obviously in between the size of a shorty header and a long tube header, so they get a little bit more of a performance gain. But when you're LS swapping a lot of classic vehicles, we all fight a lot of clearance issues, so that's where sometimes a mid-length may be an option if a frame rail's in the way, or a front subframe, or different cross members or such. And then lastly, we've got the long tube header. As you can tell, these have long tubes. They join into a collector down at the bottom. Long tubes are typically going to be a bigger diameter on the primaries as well. You can see the primaries on the shorties. They're kind of small. I would say they're probably 1 5/8 inches. These are more than likely 1 7/8 inches or 1 3/4 inches. But you can get them all the way up 2 inches plus. I actually think these are 1 3/4 inches, and these stainless long tubes right here are 1 7/8 inches. But they both go into a 3-inch collector. You can get them in 3.5-inch collectors and so on. Now these are going to need to be very vehicle specific to avoid any clearancing issues if you're doing a swap. All right, so next we're going to talk about header material. As you can tell, mild steel rusts. That's why these shorties right here are rusty. They have no protective coating on them. They weren't wrapped. I absolutely hate mild steel headers in an LS swap. They look horrible. They don't keep any kind of cleanliness to them, so I try to stay away from them. I'll run a set of stainless shorties before I run a set of mild steel shorties, unless I don't care about what the engine bay necessarily looks like. Now that's my personal opinion. We have customers that want to keep the budget down, so we do mild steel shorties. Not a big deal. From there on, we've got the mid-links are painted with header paint, and they've been wrapped. Now, I will say this is probably the best you can do on a set of mild steel headers to prevent any rust from forming. Now, these headers right here are mild steel, these long tubes, but they've been ceramic coated. Now, this is going to be the best way to prevent mild steel from rusting when you order your headers and don't want to have to do anything like this. The problem with it is these are high-dollar headers. And when I say high-dollar headers, I don't mean $2,000 to $3,000 set of custom headers. I mean for an off-the-shelf mild steel set of headers, these run like $800, $900 or something like that. And to me, that's high. When we can go to Speed Engineering and pick up a set of swap headers that are stainless steel, will never rust, and have $300 or $350 in them. That's the next step up, stainless steel. Stainless steel doesn't rust. It turns cool colors when it gets hot, and luckily we have an awesome brand like Speed Engineering that offers a lot of swap headers and direct fit headers for vehicles, and we don't have to deal with the ugliness. We don't have to deal with painting them and wrapping them with header wrap. We don't have to worry about spending extra money to make sure they're ceramic coated. Out the box, they're ready to go on the truck. Now granted, this set right here, this particular header is not a Speed Engineering header. This is a cheap eBay header. You can get stainless eBay headers for around the same cost as a Speed Engineering kit. The reason we ended up with a cheap eBay header here in particular is because a company sent it to us on TikToks and said it fit any LS swap Chevy truck from 60 to 99, and we proved that to be false for every year from 60 to 99. So we still have these things. We'll find something they fit one day. We tried to fit them on a box Chevy. We heated them up and beat them. Didn't work out for us. All right, so if you're worried about what your engine bay is going to look like in your swap, then the finish is going to be a big deal. Like we've talked about before, the shorty is an unfinished mild steel header. That's why it's heavily rusted. This one's been coated and wrapped. This one's ceramic coated. And then we have an uncoated stainless steel header. Like I said, I absolutely hate a set of mild steel headers. I've done a lot of research as well over the years and found that if you don't coat your header and you think, I'll just wrap it, chances are it's going to rust faster. And the reason why is because the wrap is going to hold any moisture that does get in it and take longer to dry out, even with heat. It doesn't have anywhere to go or escape. So luckily they coated this one, but we are going to cut the wrap off and see what it looks like underneath. These were wrapped for some time and installed on an LS swap that didn't run, and it turned out that they were actually the wrong headers. The headers were aimed directly at both frame rails like this, so they just weren't working. So we ended up calling Speed Engineering and getting a set of stainless long tubes for it. So these things were installed on the truck for several years, and then now they've sat out back on a barrel. That's why the wrap is so dark. The wrap is actually wet right now because we've been getting some rain here in Arkansas. So I figured it'd be a good opportunity to cut the wrap off and see exactly what we have underneath. See if the painted coating helped protect the header from being rusted with the wrap, or if we still have some rust spots underneath. Either way, I guess you could look at it like if you wrap your headers and they do rust, you're not necessarily going to see the rust. But promoting the rust to the point of rusting through over a long period of time, it's more than likely going to happen faster with a wrap with no protective coating. Now, they make various different header paints. I personally am just not fond of them. They don't look good. They never really ever come out and look good once the vehicle's ran through so many heat cycles and been driven. That's why I push the stainless thing. One of the biggest things, guys, is if Speed Engineering or a reputable company like that doesn't make a stainless header for your application, that's where I start hitting eBay. It's hit or miss. Sometimes you end up with a good set. Sometimes you end up with a set. The flanges are warped. They leak like crazy at the collector. They're just absolute junk. Sometimes you got to massage them a little bit to get them in. Engine Masters actually did a test and proved that beating a header does not change horsepower. It does not change power at all because it's the same volume. You're just changing the shape. With that being said, I'm not shy to beat a set of headers to make them clear if that's absolutely what it takes to make it happen. It's not my go-to, not my desired method. But if we need clearance and a swap and the customer's already spent the money and they're okay with it, that's what we'll do if that's what it needs. Another thing is if you're having trouble finding a set of quality long tube stainless headers for your swap, a set of shorty stainless or mid-length stainless headers might be a good option for you. And of course, if you just don't want to go that route but you want the long tubes, you can pick up a set of ceramic coated like we have here and spend the extra money. At the end of the day, the point is we have options, and I just wanted to explain the pros and cons to each option. That way you guys can watch this video and get a mental plan in your head of what direction you want to go for your swap. But now we're going to walk around the lot, kind of show you guys some of the projects we got going on here, touch base on a couple of different things that we've been working on. I know it's a short episode, trying to keep them short and sweet. But before we dive into that, let's cut this wrap off this header and see what we've got underneath it. I'm just going to cut the metal ties. If you never worked with header wrap, one of the best things you can do is get you a spray bottle of water, and while you're wrapping this thing, start soaking that header wrap down in water. So this stuff's fiberglass and has some other materials in it, and it's kind of like insulation. It sucks getting it in your hands. Being as this has been sitting outside in the rain, I think we'll be okay. Looks like we've got some different pieces. Maybe we can recycle this header wrap and use it on a turbo truck or something, where we actually need some header wrap. And if you are trying to get rid of some heat soaking issues, you can take this stuff, wet it down as you install it, and wrap stainless piping with it. Being stainless doesn't rust, you're not promoting any rust. So far though, it looks like the coating held up really well underneath the wrap. Oh, and we got a brand on them too. BBK. That part is we don't know what they fit. But I have to say, whoever coated these things did a great job, because we don't have any rust underneath this wrap. And it just goes to show, if you're balling on a budget and you don't mind your headers being wrapped and they fit your vehicle correctly, you could paint them with some good header paint and not fight rust issues. I gotta give it to whoever wrapped these things too. But yeah, you guys can tell we got this thing unwrapped all the way up, and they left a texture in the paint, but we don't have any rust on it. We're working on a fuel system in this G-body that's got a turbo to LS swap in it. We've also got to fix the oil drain issue on it. But it's Tuesday and we're rocking and rolling on this thing. We've almost got the entire fuel system done. We put an EFI capable tank in this thing with a Holley pump and housing. 8A in feed lines for the fuel, 6A in return. Got a Summit filter in there. Fuel lines ran all the way up. And then up here in the engine bay, we've got a fuel regulator mounted on the inner fender over there. And now we've got to do something about this oil drain. Hopefully that level sensor holes not gummed up or been converted to a different thread size, something like that. We have an ICT billet plug to put in there, and then we've got an ICT billet front cover, the drains for the turbo. So we're going to redo that, try to get it sealed up, keep it from smoking and leaking oil. We also got Emma's front bumper put on her truck. You'll see here, see how it still has a crease in it right here, all the way smooth and rounded. Yeah, there you go. Yep. See, I'd focus some right there. Starting to take shape now. We're gonna get this thing put on the truck. That way, next week we can take it and get it wrapped. Let's have the center cut out so when our intercooler gets put in, she'll be good, and then she'll have her tow hooks, of course. And we got a set of fog lights for it. Yeah, check it out. It's starting to take shape now. It's looking good. And Sammy over here, he done converted his truck to a 6-cylinder. Well, at least it's going to once this thing makes some boost. Guess it does come with the grill. Nice. We'll try this at home. I think it just hooks the core support. Oh, you got another one, yep, right there. There's more airflow. Woo! Oh, he got a little turbob on here. Hopefully we're gonna hear this thing run before long, make some noise. Sammy said he don't believe in break-in, so first startup, this thing's going to the box. Ain't that what you said?
Yeah, bro.
I'm thankful this thing wasn't wadded completely up to be shipped. Luckily, they just folded the corners back, and it looks like she done got one of them undone. It looks good. And got it dropped off at the wrap shop to get the front bumper wrapped. So we're excited to get that back this week sometime. And we've also got an Escalade. We've got to put a motor in. We built a 6.2 for it. All right, so we got this 6.2 assembled, ready to go in a Escalade that's out front. We've also got a set of long tube headers, a stall converter, and a set of 727 valve covers to put on this thing. We went 20 over on this one. Did a BTR stage 3 truck cam. Of course, it does have rectangle port heads because it's a 6.2. Trunnion upgrade. Chromoly push rods. The next few days or so, we'll have this thing installed. Now, we've got several engine builds going on right now and a lot of installs. So I don't know how much of this actual process we'll get the video for you guys on YouTube. But we do have something else cool in the works. We will be getting started on that this week sometime. We're going to do a lot walk real quick, kind of show you guys what we got going on around here. There's the Escalade that's getting the 6.2. Got to attempt to finish a swap in that thing. We've got to button up the swap in this one. I know y'all waiting on it. Got a forged piston 5.3, L83 with a truck cam, GPI ported heads, a stall converter, long tubes, and a muffler going on this thing. Oh, and a BTR intake, their new truck intake. We're waiting on a 418 stroker to come back from Mike Lau on this one. I got to put the valve springs in the heads for that so we can start getting it back together. We still need a few parts. Eddie's Burb, we're waiting on the transmission to come in on it. Got to take the block for this one to the machine shop and drop it off. There's Sammy's turbo truck. This thing come back in to have the halos wired to the parking lights. Straighten up the steering column and button up a couple of other little small things. Nothing crazy though. Of course, there's Panda. And then out back we've got another truck here for an engine. It's out, tore down, ready to go to Mike. Our 60-something, I think it's a 66. C10 out there with a 4.8 in it or a 5.3 or something. We've got to finish up, get started off the key, rat rod style swap. And we got another crew cab over there on the far end of the lot that needs an engine as well. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap up this episode. That's what I think about LS swap headers. The types, the materials, the finishes, all of it, and a little taste of what we got going on around here. Emma got her front bumper wrapped. We've got a ton of engine jobs out here right now dropped off. So we got to get some things moved around and start getting some stuff knocked out. And we've also got a 2015 Silverado that we're putting BTR forged pistons, a BTR stage 3 cam, the new Gen 5 BTR truck intake, the new BTR cold air intake tube, and a Circle D converter, along with a set of stainless long tubes from Speed Engineering. We'll also be installing a Black Widow muffler on that job. So You guys keep a lookout for that. We are making content on that one as well. It's just kind of slow moving right now until we get everything done and put together. But we're probably going to break that into 2 different episodes. Expect that to be coming in the next couple weeks or so. Remember to follow us on TikTok and Facebook at 727 Motorsports. Look for the blue check mark. And if you have any questions regarding your LS swap or any projects you have going on that are LS or modern LT based, you can reach us at 727motorsportsar@gmail.com or go to the Contact Us page at our website, www.727motorsports.net. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Remember to drop a comment, like the video, share it with your friends. And until next time, if you're not following us, grab that button.